evening, everyone. It's 6 o'clock on February 5th, and this is the Planning Commission meeting. So could we please take roll call?
Commissioner Lydé.
Here.
Commissioner Calandra. Commissioner Diaz.
Present.
Commissioner Kreiner. Commissioner Shergill. Vice Chair Bray.
Here.
Chair Vane.
Okay, we'll do the Pledge of Allegiance now, so please stand. I'll read the procedures now. This meeting is being conducted in person and electronically. For each matter considered by the Commission, there will first be a staff presentation followed by a presentation from the project applicant. Testimonies from supporters of the project will then be taken, followed by testimony from those in opposition. The applicant will have the right to a final rebuttal presentation prior to closing the public hearing. In accordance with Section 13 of Article 2 of the Planning Commission Rules and Regulations governing the length of public debate, all public testimony for those in support and in opposition of the project will be limited to 3 minutes per person. The 3 lights on the podium next to the microphone will indicate the amount of time remaining for the speaker. The green light will be turned on when the speaker begins. The yellow light will come on when a soft bell ring with a soft bell ring when 1 minute is remaining. A speaker should be completing the testimony by the time the red light comes on, with a final bell indicating the time has expired. All in-person testimony must be presented to the Commission at the podium. Any testimony that references race, religion, ethnicity, economic status, national origin, or any other classification protected under state or federal law in a derogatory manner shall be deemed irrelevant and will not be considered by the Commission in making its land use determinations. If you challenge these land use matters in court, you may be limited to raising only those issues you or someone else raised in oral or written testimony before the close of the hearing. Okay, we will start today's meeting with the approval of the agenda. Are there any changes?
Good evening, Vice Chair Bray, members of the Planning Commission. I'm Israel Trejo with the Planning and Development Department. There are no changes to the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any commissioners have changes to the agenda? Commissioner Calandra moves to approve the agenda. Second. Seconded by Commissioner Diaz. So all those in favor say aye. 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 Okay, we'll move to the consent calendar. And that's for the public meeting minutes. Is there a motion to preserve? Oh, is there anyone in the public that would like to provide comment on the consent calendar? Okay. Is there a motion to approve the consent calendar? Motion. Okay, motion to approve by Commissioner Diaz, seconded by Commissioner Calandra. Are there any reports by commissioners? Okay, and we have no continued matters. So we'll move to new matter 8A ID 25169. So can we have a report from the staff, please?
Okay, thank you, Vice Chair. Members of the Planning Commission, my name is Rob Holt, Supervising Planner with Planning and Development, and tonight staff brings forth consideration vesting tentative tract map number 6397 and its relating environmental finding. Oh, it's not on, that's why. The subject property is located on the east side of North Cornelia Avenue between West McKinley and West Hedges Avenue in alignment with West Pine Avenue. The county of Fresno is located directly south and west of the property with city limits directly north and east. The subject property is primarily vacant with a rural residence at the southwest corner of the property, which will be demolished as part of this project. To the north, east, and south are rural residential uses, along with a ponding basin to the southeast and existing single-family residential uses to the east. The subject property is planned for medium-low density residential uses, as well as to the north, east, and south, along with the open space ponding basin southeast, and medium density residential to the west. The project is a subdivision map of approximately 4.72 acre property that will be subdivided into 26 single-family residential lots with a density of 5.5 dwelling units per acre, with medium-low density in RS4 zone district, which is applicable here. That will allow for a density between 3.5 and 6 dwelling units per acre, with 5.5 that falls right in between the density requirements and is consistent. The Council District 3 Project Review Committee met on October 22nd, 2024 to discuss this project and ultimately had no recommendations for the project. There is a minor deviation for this project. What that is allows for a reduction of development standards, maximum 10% reduction. And in this case, it applies only to lot widths for those lots across 14 through 26, basically the southern portion of the subdivision, all of those lots that it applies to, as well as lot size.
Excuse me just a second. Can
Absolutely.
you please note that Commissioner Shergill has joined us?
Welcome, Commissioner. And the lot sizes are being reduced from 5,000 square feet to 4,600 square feet from lots 14 to 19, kind of the southeast portion of the subdivision. And I apologize, the lot widths will be a minimum or 50 or going down to 46 feet. So again, it's only less than a 10% reduction. All other development standards, including setbacks, landscaping, and the like, are consistent with the RS4 and conditioned to be consistent with the RS4 zone district development standards. I want to add that in the front along North Cornelia Avenue, where you see kind of the green area, is a minimum 15-foot landscape setback as required by the West Area Community Plan. And there's another small park strip that's proposed with sidewalk in between. And there will also be a requirement along that landscape setback buffer area between the landscape and the lots to require a 6-foot decorative masonry wall. Additionally, there is going to be connectivity to the existing subdivision to the east, which I'll show you in just a second, as well as future connectivity to future development to the north, as there is similar zoning that would allow for similar development. And so to leave it off, this is what the map would look like juxtaposed over an aerial of the existing conditions of the site, where it'll connect to the east, provide access to Cornelia to the west, and then at some point in the future when development occurs, if development occurs to the north, they'll have access there. And with that, staff concludes presentation. We recommend adoption of the environmental assessment, approval of the track map, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you may have.
Do any commissioners have questions for staff? Is the applicant here for?
Yes, a representative of the applicant is in attendance.
Okay.
Quick, actually, I do have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go
No
ahead.
worries. Thank you. How's the traffic? Because that's one of the biggest concern we hear whenever we attend public meetings. So how will this affect the traffic around the community for the neighborhood?
It's 26 single-family lots, so traffic there, the Public Works Department has provided conditions that have improvements along Cornelia to ensure that it is consistent with whatever traffic load is required. We do have Public Works in attendance tonight, Ohio Mata with Public Works, to answer any specific questions you may have regarding that. And for the environmental, the vehicle miles traveled, it's consistent based on the load volume of traffic, which is around 245 average daily trips.
Okay. And then, are there any, with the city of Fresno, roadways or roads, there's so many potholes. I mean, I drive all over Fresno. So is there any plan to, it may be off topic a little bit, but do we have any plan of fixing those roads? Is it in the plans?
This project is subject to just the subdivision boundary layer.
Okay.
So all roads within there will be constructed to a public works standard with sidewalk, curb, and gutter within the limits of the subdivision.
Yeah, because, I actually travel all around Fresno, Fresno County. I do see there are a lot of developments, but the the homes are already built. They're already built, but there are like this big of potholes. I'm talking about on Ashland Avenue, Ashland and Hayes. A lot of new homes, a lot of new construction, which is great. We need a lot of housing, but what is the reason? Like, will we make sure that the roadway is fixed?
Again, all requirements are subject to what's in the limits of this specific subdivision. So anything outside would have to come through a different avenue from a different requirement or process.
All right, that's all what I want. I want to make sure, when we're developing, let's make sure we also fix the roadways, because that's the biggest thing the public has, the concern the public bring, that, hey, we are bringing a lot of developments, but what's happening to the road? So that is something that we must we really, as a city, we really got to pay attention to that.
Absolutely, yeah. The existing roadway here is Cornelia Avenue. Everything else is proposed and will have to be subject to public works standards, and they will ensure that it is constructed concurrent with that.
Thank you.
Yes, of course.
Just because I was at a meeting and I heard the mayor talking about this exact situation. So he did encourage, if you do see anything, that go to, I think it's Fresno, 559-621 city, or you call 311, and then you're able to get attention directed to that specific pothole in that area. They are very fast and timely, and they get to it right away. I've myself seen something that Public Works has fixed within a 24-hour turnaround time. So the squeaky wheel gets the grease, if in case that's an issue for anybody else here, just to give you that information.
You.
You're
Thank
welcome.
Okay, does anyone else have a question or comment? All right, I'll ask the applicant to present.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. My name is Dale Mell and Associates, 2090 North Winery Avenue in Fresno. We had prepared the map and the engineering drawings for the development of the site. I would like to not really correct, but better inform you as far as some of the road improvements that are necessary. Two conditions on this site was to extend the sewer line and water line from McKinley Avenue down Cornelia, which pretty much disrupts the entire paving section of Cornelia. So Cornelia Avenue would be improved, correcting potholes at the developer's expense, as well as being supported in part by city funds that we were informed about by Mr. Andy Benelli, then when he was still at the city here. So there are extensive off-site work that needs to go on, as well as the on-site development work too. The site itself is kind of unique because it's fairly wide, single road down the middle of it, resulting in some fairly deep lots, which provides a good opportunity for the home sites to be offset considerably, not just 6 inches or so from the adjoining lot. They can actually set back several feet, providing more enhanced street view of the subdivision itself. We did provide a curved linear type road, so it's more, instead of the straight run typical grid type subdivision layout, that we have a little serpentine type effect, which again enhances the offset of the buildings in front. The lots are fairly deep, providing an opportunity for families, outside play areas, and activities in the front, as well as deeper garage or driveway setbacks out in front. So it's kind of a unique subdivision compared especially to the one directly to the east, where they're fairly short lots. And of course, everybody needs square footage, so they're filled up quite a bit and provide more of a compact design than what this provides an opportunity for here.
Does anyone have questions for Mr. Mell?
Is there a price range for these homes or these properties?
My understanding that the target range is in the mid 400s,
Okay.
which is pretty much the general area anyway. so they aren't going to be overpriced to much extent. Cost is cost when it comes down to building homes, but provides an opportunity to fit into the local environment there.
So that's really good. And the other thing is, like how many beds and baths are you? It'll be a mixture of how big the house is, the square footage, and all that.
Yeah, I think the average family, I haven't seen all the floor plans, they haven't been made available yet. I think they're still in design consideration. I think the average family in Fresno anymore requires a 3-bedroom, 2-bath, if not 4-bedroom, 2.5 bath or 3 bath, something like that. And these lots generally will lean or provide the opportunity for that enhanced floor plan for additional square footage.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll go out to the public. Are there any members of the public who want to comment in favor of this application? Are there any members of the public who would like to comment in opposition? Seeing none, we'll take this back to the commissioners and close the hearing. Do we have any comments from, or motions from commissioners?
I'll motion to approve it. Yeah.
Second. Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Shergill, seconded by Commissioner Diaz. Can we take a vote, please?
Yes.
Commissioner Lede,
Yes.
Commissioner Calandra, Commissioner Diaz,
Yes.
Commissioner Shergill,
Yes.
Vice Chair Bray.
Yes. Okay, so that has been approved. I think next we're going to have a report by the secretary.
So the
Ryan?
next item on the agenda, Chair, is the workshop on development code text amendments. Yep.
Okay, so we're going to have a workshop.
We're so lucky.
Thanks to Rob for the height adjustment. Good evening, Vice Chair and Commissioners. Ashley Atkinson, Assistant Director for Planning and Development, here to present to you a brief workshop on development code text amendments with thanks to Heather for helping us prepare for this. We are going to go over a couple of things in big picture. First, what is the process for a development code text amendment? And of course, what is the Planning Commission's role in that process? We have about 10 slides, and then, of course, happy to take any questions once I've finished presenting the information. Where this process is in the Fresno Municipal Code is within Article 58 of the Development Code, which is also Chapter 15 of the Fresno Municipal Code. So that's where you will find the procedure for a text amendment. And the short version of what a text amendment is, it's exactly what it says. We're just using amendment instead of change. It's a change to the text of the Development Code. So a change to Chapter 15 of the Fresno Municipal Code via text. There's a couple of other processes addressed in Article 58. Those are rezones, which is changing, of course, the zoning for a site from one zone district to another, or a plan amendment, which is changing an actual plan. We're not going to address either of those tonight, but that's just sharing the information that those are the other processes contained in Article 58. It's important to know that the Commission's authority for all of those processes in Article 58 is for review and recommendation. Those items do have to proceed to the City Council for their decision. So going into a little more detail about what is a development code text amendment, or what we usually call a text amendment for short. It's really just changing the contents of that Chapter 15 in a way that modifies the language we're using. So that could be addition of something more substantial, such as a recent example would be adoption of the Responsible Neighborhood Market Act. That is a sort of large-scale addition to the development code that did not exist there before. So something like that is a text amendment. It's a new ordinance as well, but a bigger change. Or it could be a very small change, like the example here, changing the word "and" to "or." That's also an amendment to the text. And it's kind of everything in between. We will have a number of text amendments coming forward this spring related to changes that we need to make in order to be in compliance with state law. And things like that. So you will see everything from small to large in text amendments. And, it's important because the words matter. We have to do what the code says. That is the primary obligation of staff. And so when we want the code to say what it needs to say so that we can, do our duty in following the code and presenting things to the commission and the council in accordance with what the code says. Just real quickly, who can initiate an amendment to the text of the development code? Most likely you'll see those initiated by the director representing the department, by city council. They can be initiated by the planning commission as well. And less commonly, we do see them initiated by external applicants. There is a process for that as well, and I believe we have one of those coming up within the next few meetings as well.
One second. Can we note that Commissioner Kreider has now joined us?
Sure. So once they're initiated, the next, and drafted, of course, the next step in the process is for committees and commissions to review those text amendments. There's a requirement for any plan or council district committee to review the text amendment. So that's our council district project review committees. Most council districts have them, not all. If there was something related to, say, the Tower District, where there's also a plan committee sitting, they may need to review it as well. And those council meetings, or those committee meetings are agendized and open to the public for anyone to attend. So there's an opportunity for neighborhood feedback there. Finally, if a text amendment affects something in the jurisdiction of the Airport Land Use Commission and the airport influence area, then they need to review these as well. Those aren't always agendized for their review, but we do send them to the staff of the Airport Land Use Commission to make that decision. Continuing on the public involvement in these text amendments, we do require a public hearing. That takes place here at the Planning Commission, where you all will hold the hearing, at least one, on any proposed amendments. And as you know, the public is made aware of the agenda for the Planning Commission, as well as City Council, by notices published in the newspaper, and other ways that we use to generally advertise items, such as, the email list that anyone can sign up for to be alerted of what's being agendized for any given meeting, and other methods of learning about what's scheduled here. So what are the criteria for a text amendment to be approved? Basically, the code says that the commission, neither the commission nor the council can approve an application unless it meets two criteria. One is that it's consistent with the general plan and the airport land use compatibility plan and any other operative plans, and that's sort of a standard condition of that consistency. We never want to put ourselves out of consistency with our plans, and so that is a finding that staff will make and present to you when presenting a text amendment. And second, that it's consistent with the purpose of the development code, which is to promote the growth of the city in an orderly and sustainable manner, and to promote and protect the public health, safety, peace, comfort, and general welfare. So we will present the evidence for that as well. And again, keeping in mind that staff's obligation is to ensure that projects do follow the development code if we are recommending them for approval. And that applies to text amendments as well. Your role as Planning Commission is to review a text amendment and make a recommendation to City Council. So when you have a public hearing here at Commission for a text amendment, that's your opportunity for the public, having received notice that this is taking place, to come and present their thoughts, comments on the text amendment, and for you to consider those comments when you make your recommendation. But the role here really is to make a recommendation. The City Council has the ultimate authority to make the decision for adoption or denial. So your role here is to take that public comment at the hearing and then make a recommendation to the City Council. So when we get a text amendment and hold the hearing here at Planning Commission, the next step is really to forward it on to City Council with a recommendation rather than to continue it here at Planning Commission. So the three options when a text amendment comes before you are recommending that City Council adopt the text amendment with no changes as it was presented by staff, to recommend that City Council adopt the text amendment with any recommended changes that you may want to recommend based on the public comment that you heard and questions that you may have, or finally, that you recommend City Council deny adoption of the text amendment. So when we present a text amendment and hold the hearing here, that's one of the three options is the course of action to be taken at that time. And that is it for the presentation, and I think myself and Heather are happy to answer any questions.
I do have a question. Clearly, this came about from our last action when we sent the text amendment back to the staff on the smoke shops. So clearly, we weren't supposed to do that. So had we denied it, then what happens?
So you would be recommending denial to the City Council. That would be your third option that we just went over. If you had, as a commission, had said, you know what, we don't think this can or should be approved, that is the recommendation you would make to City Council, but you would still then forward it to City Council for their consideration. And I'll let Heather jump in with anything else to add there. No.
I have a further question. So when we recommended it to go back to the staff, that wasn't something we could do. Would the staff want to let us know that we can't do that?
Yeah, so Chair,
I mean, we're knowing that
right
now, but
No, I appreciate that. So one of the reasons we're doing this is because it did cause us to go back and look at the code to see what should we have said to the commission. So certainly I don't want to say that the commission in and of itself made an error, right? So we went back and we looked at the code, and the code is relatively clear. It says the Planning Commission shall conduct a public hearing, and then following the public hearing, the Planning Commission shall make a recommendation on the proposed application to the City Council. So I didn't have this in front of me 2 weeks ago, so I apologize for that, right? But we have a lot of text amendments coming forward this year, and I felt it was really important for all of us, staff and the commission, to go back and review. And what we're trying to do, again, through our training, is to ensure that we are all up and knowledgeable on topics that are going to be in front of us, not just for the fun of training, although it is great fun, but to make sure that if there's something that's going to be consistently coming in front of you, we want to make sure that you are all fully aware of what those responsibilities are as planning commissioners, whether it's a legislative or a judicial act that you're taking, and what our responsibility for staff. So it goes on to say such recommendation shall include the reasons for the recommendation, right? Findings supporting the recommendation, those were the two that Ashley went over, right? The two findings. It's consistent with the general plan, airport land use plan, any other applicable plan, and it's consistent with the purpose of the development code, right? So unlike some of your other projects, which have a long list of findings, this one has two, right? And so based on the evidence in the record, again, we look back at what you read in the staff report, what you heard from the public, what your conversation was in your discussion at the Planning Commission level. can you make those findings? And if not, why? Why not, right? When you make a recommendation to city council. I can make findings if it's modified in XYZ way, or this looks great, it ticks all the boxes, we're ready to send it on. And so it will cause potentially us to have longer conversations at Planning Commission rather than coming back and having a discussion later. But it does require us to move those projects along.
Okay, so in that instance, what we might have done would be to say, or could we, I'm asking the question, could we have said, we don't find that it's consistent, I think the last part of that thing was for the general good of the public, because of the effect on the businesses.
Right, we can't discuss the specific topic, but what you could have said was, we cannot make the second finding.
Okay.
Because ABC. Here are my reasons that we heard at this meeting, or we read and determined on our own as commissioners. Yes, absolutely, you can recommend denial based on not being able to make the findings.
But if we, not wanting to be that severe in recommending denial, if we said, well, we can't really do that general good of the public for these reasons, so we would recommend that the city council, amend it in this way. So we could have done that
Absolutely.
instead.
Yes. I think that was the second option that
to
was discussed.
recommend that City Council adopt the text amendment with associated recommended changes.
Because we don't feel that it meets that second test.
Or either of them, yes, either of the findings, but you would need
Okay,
to
so that
make
would have
that
been
and
a better
then,
way
yeah.
to do it. Okay, thank you. I appreciate the training, because I think it's important that we know all these things. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I have a question. If hypothetically somebody has a recommendation and their recommendation is not something that is approved by everyone, can that person then make a substitute motion with the recommendation and then get it rejected so it still shows that it was something that was considered or that somebody had recommended?
So, Commissioner Lyday, essentially, like any motion, if a motion fails, so one of you makes a motion, there's not a majority in support, and it fails, another commissioner may make another motion, right? You're going to continue to make motions until you can forward something to the city council.
And all of that will be on the record?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, and there are provisions, and I don't have it specifically in front of me, but there are provisions for a minority report from the Planning Commission, and I need to get that for you. So if you are interested in that at a future meeting, we can absolutely train on that as well. But there is an opportunity for a minority to come before City Council and present an opposing or a different recommendation.
Thank you.
Yep.
And I think I did skip the bullet that said that this text amendments are discretionary, but they are also legislative in nature. I just realized I had skipped over that one when Jennifer said they are legislative, not judicial, right? So,
right. So discretionary meaning you have a choice in the matter, not ministerial, and that's where CEQA is triggered, right? So it is important to note that we have to bring some type of CEQA finding in a discretionary matter.
Does everyone feel comfortable with that? Okay. I have a question for the commissioners. Every time we get a subdivision, we hear about the roads, and I don't know that we all understand what the city's plans are as far as road and the county and what the timeline looks like. Would the commission want to have a brief presentation on what it actually looks like? Because I know the county and the city are on different timelines, and so that we don't, it's difficult because the public is always like, what's going on with the roads? And the same question keeps coming up, and I think if we all understood a little bit more about how that's going to work. Briefly, I don't know if the commissioners would like to.
Should we close out this item and maybe do that
Oh,
in
good idea.
unscheduled communications or similar?
Okay, we'll close
All right.
out that.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. So I don't know if the other commissioners would like to do that. You can let Jennifer know, and but a brief overview.
No, I mean, I think that's the, can we discuss it?
So I don't have a report, so we don't have scheduled oral communication, so now we're in unscheduled oral communication.
There you
Very
go.
good.
Yes,
There you are.
thank Commissioner for that, because that's the biggest concern. Like, for example, I have served on the West of 99 committee for many, many years, and that was the biggest question we would get. And this is still the question we get in public, like, what is happening to our roadways? Like, we all drive, like, we all see the roadways. I mean, just think about it. I mean, just coming to downtown from 99 and just turning left onto Fresno Street. This is my opinion, but I think it should be the most beautiful looking intersection because you're entering our beautiful downtown. But what do we see? We all know what we see. So I think I think it'll be a great opportunity for all of us to know what's happening, what are the plans. So I think, so that way whenever our public, because at the end of the day, we're all here to serve the public. Anybody who sits here, we're here for the public service. I think that's an amazing idea.
It's a very complicated thing, and could take like 7 days to try to explain the whole thing. So it would really need to be kind of an overview, high-level kind of a thing. Otherwise,
So just to clarify, Vice Chair Bray, are you asking for a training specifically related to roads?
so that the Planning Commission understands the big picture on roads, and it's a budgetary thing, just to give us a little clearer understanding on how that's going to go for all of us.
So what I can do is I can reach out to the Public Works Director to see if he or one of his staff can give a presentation on the overall work program for Public Works as it relates to our roadway infrastructure. So it's not going to be different. So what we can provide is the city's overall work program as it relates to road repair and reconstruction.
Thank you. Okay, it is 6:37.
Vice Chair Bray?
Yes, I'm
We need to
sorry.
go out to the public for unscheduled oral communications.
Is there anyone in the public with unscheduled communications? So then it is 6:37, and we're going to adjourn the meeting. Thank you for your help.